Should do that.
We'll make a partnership with yoga and chops and coffee. We can have them side by side.
Dude, the funny thing is, I have thought about that. Like teaching the kids while the moms are doing yoga.
So I just had this total Ron Burgundy Anchorman in the park moment, imagining the core of drummers facing off against the group of San Diego yoga moms over who has a right to have access to the park and how much noise they are or are not allowed to make.
My money is
I don't know who I'm betting on in a group of drummers.
Yoga moms all day yoga moms.
Yeah, Karen's.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, they're dangerous.
Jason,
you gotta watch out for them.
Who's bringing out the trident in the middle of the fight?
Wait, what? Just give it another minute. Welcome everyone streaming with us too. Oh man, I didn't fix the thing. I didn't fix it on Facebook. I gotta, man. All right, Monday we'll do it. It's on YouTube and Twitch though.
I had a killer lesson with that Sarah Thar.
Oh yeah, she's doing Drumeo too next, like today I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was lots of wisdom.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Actually, she gave me a couple like PDFs of some exercise independence and stuff.
Cool.
Independence and stuff. I'll drop that in the group. It's hard as hell, and she makes it look easy.
Huh.
Oh, cool.
Cool. Did you do an in-person lesson or was it on Zoom?
Zoom, yeah. One thing she said that stuck out was if you have to think about it, you're already late.
That's good. I don't say it that way, but I agree with that totally.
Oh, talked about that the Latin music egg that you guys talked about before. Think of it like an egg rolling down that hill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I say that with Jamaican music too. We say it's a bike with square wheels. Oh, check out this Vinny bill. Not this one, the next one. Ah, it's not yet. Dang it. Oh, Vinny's dope. Okay, I'll show it to you when it comes up next. Have you guys heard that?
What album?
What is it? What are they called? Charisma with a K. Vinny has the ultimate Vinny flam fill coming up. It's like I think it might be my favorite fill of all time. It's outrageous. And then the way he goes into like the solo section is so Vinny. It's coming up. It's coming up. Oh, come on, Vinny.
He was thinking about it. Now it's late. Dave Johnstone. Holy shit! How you been? How are your travels?
Good, man. Missed you guys the last couple of weeks or so here.
Yeah, I brought the kids with you to the job site. How did that work out?
Yeah, I brought just Harrison. He was actually in charge of merch, like literally had a job and got paid.
Oh, great. Oh, cool.
He was doing merch and kind of also helping with sound. It was awesome. We had a great time. Fun.
It's a beautiful age for the children of musicians, where they're like happy to be your roadies.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yes, I would love to carry that gear.
Here it is. Here it is. Oh, so good. Here's his into solo. It's so Vinny to just do those like 30-second notes over the bar. I got to hear that fill again. Ah, come on. Here it comes. That is so great. Flum, 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 flum.
What album is that?
It's this song is called Aliens Ripped My Face Off. I don't it's Charisma, Karizma Document. That's the album, Document. If you look up Charisma though on Spotify, it's like some 90s like hip hop or like R&B band. It's spelt the same way. Something crazy, man. So great. All right. Nothing like getting your day started with a Vinny Flam fill. And then going into it. So good. There's one of my favorite solos I've ever heard, was from Vinny. I don't remember what the band is, but I have it. It's just like, it starts off so slow, or he's just like barely touching the drums, and then by the end it's fully, full Vinny cymbal, snare things. Amazing. Let me pull up the sheet today. We got a nice group here. Oh, sorry, Adam. You're taking the lead this morning, right? Adam, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Go ahead. I'll go second half. You want to?
Sounds good. All right. So all week we've been doing the same sheet, but last on Wednesday there's something I want to revisit. So oops. All right, so we've been just doing the first 8 bars, and then we've been replacing the accent with our kick. So playing the kick on each, 16th note. On this one's on the beat, then this one's on E, and then so instead of doing this, just reading it down one measure each, we've either been doing 1 or 4 times around on each measure. And sometimes we've been doing like measure 1, measure 2. Then we'll do that like 2 times each. Then we'll do measure 2, measure 3, then measure 3 to measure 4, and then measure 4 to measure 1. So I got to rewrite this so that it does that. That's a really cool vibe. I think we should start with that. Let's start with measure 1, measure 2, doing them 2 times each. Okay, 2 times each measure. So 2 times each, measure 1, measure 2. We're gonna pretend there's a repeat sign here and just keep going for 2 minutes. All right. Replacing the kick drum, replacing the accent with a kick drum. Let me get set up here with the metronome and all that. I'm gonna go 2 minutes on each exercise. Yeah, 2. And I need to. I don't have my pad on. My thing feels weird. My kick drum. General. Oh, display and brightness. There we go. All right, now I'm ready. All right, that's 90. I'm gonna go back down to 80. We did 90. I mean, we did 80 last time. All right, where's my timer? There we go. All right, here we go. 1, 2, measure 1, measure 2. 1, 2, ready, go. Try to stay away from the accents, but play the kick drum. Thirty seconds. Here we go. Last one. All right, cool. Oh my goodness, come on. All right, how'd everybody do? Good? We're getting kind of used to this one from doing it all week. That's good. Okay, so this one was really hard for me. Come on. This one was really hard for me, so now going from measure 2 to measure 3. So let's see. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 E and. Okay. So this time I'm not even gonna look at it. I'm gonna start us off on the right beat. Same idea. Okay. One, two, ready, go. Yeah. Gosh, man. Halfway there. 30 seconds. Last one. Cool. All right. All right. There we go. All right. Whoops. All right. How did that one go? Good. Good. That one's hard, especially left-hand lead. All right. So now, number 3, number 4, same idea. Starting with the and, 2 measures each, and then the All right. Are we ready? Totally different experience when I count it off on the beat without the metronome displaced by a 16 note.
It's real old school, man.
Yeah, it's so 5 minutes ago. All right, 1, 2, ready, go. Oops. Yeah. Thirty seconds. Last one. All right, cool. I like that one. It's funky. I like it. Okay, same exact thing, but now left-hand lead. Okay, so left-hand lead. You can play the accents with your left foot if you want to, but I'm gonna stick to my kick drum foot. So everything the same. We'll do 2 measures of each, 2 minutes each, starting with 1 and 2. And we're gonna start left-hand lead. All right, here we go. Coffee first. Oh. Here we go. Left, 2, ready, go. Sorry. halfway there. Seconds. Should be the last one. Yep. All right, cool. How's everybody feeling on the left? I feel like we're getting used to this this exercise. We need to start maybe switching up the sticking.
I'm trying to put hi-hat on a quarter notes, which is
that's so hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you get it, it helps a lot for me, but it takes a bit to get it. Yeah. I cannot. Number 4. While we were doing right hand lead, I cannot help but flam my left hand and my foot.
Yeah, you guys can hear me. You can hear me doing that a lot in there. So yeah. Okay, so let's.
Can you tell which one's early, which one's late? Is it consistently one limb ahead of the other, Daryl?
Oh, that's interesting. I believe it's the left is early.
The left hand is early. Yeah, we'll try putting more air on the left hand. That would, or think about it more, like Sarah said. If you if you think about your left hand, it'll be late. No, but I mean, yeah, just try that out. Try to raise the stick height up a little. It might put you a little later.
Cool.
Are we still at 80 BPM or have we moved up?
Yeah, it's at 80. All right, so 80. Let's do 2 and 3. Left hand lead. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Thirty seconds. Last one here. Perfect. All right. All right, last one. 3 and 4. Left hand lead, 2 minutes each. Left hand lead. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Oh my gosh. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Oh man, I never set the timer. Couple more here. Last one. All right. Very nice. Very nice. Left hand and right hand. Okay, so the last thing I want to do before we let Adam take over is just read it down from measure 1 to measure 4, 1 measure each, just as written. And we'll do it for 1 minute right hand, and then we'll do it 1 minute left hand, but we're going to still do the accents as kick drums. All right, so reading it from the top. No repeating, just repeating this whole thing. So reading it, playing it as written, playing from here down. All right. Oops, pause. All right, here we go. 1, 2, right hand lead, go. Last one. Ah. Perfect. All right, same thing, but left hand lead. All right, here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Ah. 30 seconds. Sorry. That's the last one. Gosh. Every time I start to talk, Okay, cool. So, not bad, not bad. Simple workout, but man, it's like it's got me going.
The thing that surprised me on that one was how tricky it was when you were on the left hand lead, doing the double kick from the end of 4 into 1 and not going back to right hand. Every time I hit that double kick, I was like, oh, okay, double right hand. And so I would have to catch myself and go back to left hand lead, going back.
Yeah, I have the same problem. Very cool. All right, so that's my warm up for today. Let's transition over to Adam. Yeah. Do you need me to make you co-host? Do you need to share anything?
No. Just, I've been trying to figure out this way that I could work on one thing and have it help hundreds of things. So I wanted to kind of run that by you guys. It was something that I brought up a while back, like starting off with hands together and having that kind of be the groundwork, and just keep adding little additional challenges to that until eventually you're kind of playing just about anything you would play on the drum set with the hands. So I guess it's good to just start with hands together, and then adding dynamics to that is adding an accent. So try adding just a right hand accent every 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, without accenting the left hand. 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now do the same thing in the left hand. Accent every 4 beats in the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Without adjusting the right hand at all. I've noticed this kind of dynamic interdependence between the hands. When I would accent in one hand, the other hand automatically wanted to accent. And I think that dynamic interdependence has a lot to do with the same kind of rhythmic dependence we have between the hands. So the more you can kind of separate this dynamic kind of independence, the more it's going to help you with your overall independence. So go back to the right hand accent every 4 bars or every 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and really exaggerate it. Like bring it way up above your head if you can. 3, 4, and then watch that left hand and make sure it's not adjusting at all. Cool. Now try to do 2 and adjust hands and don't flam. 3, 4, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. Every 2 beats. Now we're gonna go up and just go back and forth accents, right to left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And don't flam. Cool. And now try to do accents in a paradiddle, starting with the right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. If that was a little tricky, let's try doubles. So the double starting in the right with accents. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right. Ah, flam, fuck. Oh, and I'm struggling myself to kind of keep the opposite, non-accented hand close to the surface. Oh, Daryl, I got a question. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry, man. No, I'm just saying bye. I gotta go.
You gotta go. Oh, okay.
You ain't disrespect. Right. Sorry, man. That's awesome.
Oh, cool. Right on. See you later. Cool. So that's kind of the framework, how you can take any sticking and essentially do it as unisons and play it with accents that way. And so that's something that, especially when you move it to the drum set, it gives a lot of possibilities of kind of fattening up your sound, I've found. And there's even a super simple version of this that I'm working on a lot between hi-hat and snare that's been really challenging, is just keeping this right accenting, kind of like your typical rock beat, like accenting every other beat in the right, and then accenting every 4 beats in the left, and that gives you kind of your standard rock beat. So hands starting off with hands together, and then bring in accenting every other beat in the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then bring out beat 3 in the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That in terms of like just counting each unison as one beat. Sorry, not like 4/4 time, but where are we? I'll go back. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And try to like think of a song that's at this tempo and try to make that feel as comfortable as it would be if you weren't playing unisons in the left hand. As if it were just like we would be kind of sustaining that backbeat without the unisons, and then go back to playing with unisons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to drop the unisons in the left hand and just play the backbeat again and go back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Standard rock beat. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now unisons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Yeah, and that's the general idea. It's a pretty basic concept, but I feel like I don't know what to do with my left hand between my backbeats at a slow tempo. That's what I've noticed when I video myself. My left hand's kind of like just there waiting for the next backbeat. Sometimes it lifts a little later for the stroke. Sometimes it lifts a little earlier depending on what the rest of my body's doing. I feel like this unison kind of forces the left hand to kind of stay in some sort of rhythmic pocket, even when you're not playing. And so if you go back and forth between playing just eighth notes in the right and 2 and 4 in the left, and playing unisons as well, it kind of gives your left hand the idea of what it should be doing between backbeats a little bit. So any questions on it so far?
I like that as like a real like a real beat. So like here. Sounds cool.
Yeah, it's a great like kind of bridge beat. Like if you're playing one beat for the verse and chorus, and so I usually have somebody say, yeah, give me something different in the bridge. Don't make it too different. And sometimes if I just bring in some kind of grace notes on the eighth note rather than the doom doom cock skadoogie doom cock, you know, like the thing we all play. Sometimes this like mirroring or matching the right hand on the snare can give it like a little bit more of intensity, and the band might not even know what you're doing, but it just adds some subtlety to your playing. And then the real trick with that is to make the grace notes on the snare quieter than the hi-hat and still keep the accent. So that's really like pulling apart the dynamics between the quiet notes on the snare and the backbeat, and that can add all kinds of textures to the real simple eighth note grooves. And so that's kind of just a dynamic. All you're doing is just you're staying super grounded. I feel like hands together in eighth notes is a great way to keep time. If I'm ever on a set that I'm not familiar with, or I feel like, okay, there's a transition from this verse to chorus, and I hear how the guitar player is just like shooting ahead, you know, with the rhythm, I'll sometimes go to eighth notes to kind of like really try to stay secure on where the pulse is. And the more I've practiced it, the more it kind of helps me to just make sure like I'm as solid as I can be. And so like pulling apart the dynamics between the quiet and loud in the left in particular, and really just like feeling this eighth notes whether you're playing them or not. So I'll even sometimes like play the eighth notes in the air with the right hand.
Yeah, I really like Brad Wilk if you talk about somebody who knows how to take kind of a more basic eighth note groove and just, really turn it into something with like grace notes and stuff. I mean, he studied with David Garibaldi, so it's not surprising. But like, if you look at like a chart for Rage Against the Machine song, it doesn't look hard. And then you watch Brad play it and you realize like, 30-40% of what you're hearing out of him isn't on the chart. It's all in how he's grace noting. And like you said, pulling the dynamics apart and playing with that relationship between loud and soft on the snare, as well as the hi-hat.
He's Rage's drummer. Brad Welk?
Wilk, W-I-L-K, Brad Wilk.
Oh, okay.
He was Rage Against the Machine, Audio Slave.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Prophets of Rage.
Oh, okay.
He studied with Garibaldi when he was a kid. So
that all reminds me of Garibaldi's technique. All of the dynamics, the short hits versus the long hits, and making your short snare and your hi-hat kind of be interchangeable sonically. So you get all of that kind of like bass level sounds that all can be played on different parts of the kit, and it's all about how you manage those little tiny nuances.
And this is hi-hat and snare. The future sounds, he deals with the 2 sound level concept, and it's great. But I think the key to how I'm thinking about this unison idea is this also applies to moving around the kit. So like movement exercises is you'd like not just keeping right hand on the snare, then like moving these unisons around the set in different ways. And that gets kind of endless how you can approach that. But I feel like if you're playing unisons and you hear the flam when you move, that is a really great indicator to what your tendencies are. Because if you're just playing straight eighth notes, and let's say ka-ka-doom, poo, scat, doom, doom, ska-ka-doom, poo, you play something like that, you could have rushed that hit on the tom a tiny little bit, but there's nothing there to really indicate to you that you did. But if you play hands together and you doom, doom, ka, boom, and you play them together, you'll hear like groom, and you're like, wow, okay, my left hand played a little behind my snare. When I did that, that means when I went from hi-hat to tom, that there's some delay there. And so then I would just like go from hi-hat to tom back and forth and just continue that until it doesn't flam. And you're working on your time that way. Flamming is kind of an indicator with this unison exercise that there's some movement that's affecting your tempo when you go from one sound source to the next. And so those unisons really suss that out. Man, at least I've been finding that out. And then though, when you play those unisons with a click, in making sure that unisons in the hands are unison with the click, then everything kind of cinches together. And this is a little bit like kind of level 1 of this concept of how to use hands together to move around the kit and make sure you're not rushing or dragging, depending on what the movement is. And then also dynamics. And the next level of it is to lead towards being more centered. And centered for me means not left hand lead. I don't like the idea of like, oh, I'm either in right hand lead or I'm in left hand lead. I'd like it to just be, I just want to be leading, like not thinking about which side of my body is leading, but just thinking in terms of, okay, I want to be a leader on the drums. I want to lead the rhythm. And so if you're playing unisons, you can easily switch from hi-hat, right on hi-hat, left on snare and play this, or you can switch to here. Or a really cool one is to play both on hi-hat and then alternate the backbeat this way. And I'm gonna, for the sake of today, I'll just boom, cut, doom, doom, cut, doom, doom, cut, doom, and alternate hands. Doom, doom, right, doom, doom, left, doom, doom, right, kick, kick, left, kick, kick, right, kick, kick, left, and then mix it up a little bit like kick, right, left, kick, right, left, kick, right, left, kick, right, left, kick, right, kick, and just like mix it up. Like I could try to put a 5 in there, like kick, right, left, kick, right, left, kick, right, left. And when you start doing that, you start noticing, wow, okay, there's like some different flams and the tempo moves overall and my dynamics are being affected. And this is a way to kind of pull apart that dynamic dependence on movement. Like the greater the distance that you move, the higher tendency it is for you to play louder. And so really being able to move larger distance around the drums and keep the dynamics in check, like not let the distance you travel dictate what your dynamic level is, which is another issue I've noticed I have. Like I've noticed when I go from hi-hat to ride, that first ride beat might be louder than all the rest of them, and that might be a good musical choice. It might not be. Don't want it to be dependent on my technique. I want it to be dependent on what I want the music to sound like. So this seems like pretty simple to kind of alternate hands this way, but the next level of this is to add doubles to the unison, and what that does is end up giving alternating sticking. And again, not thinking about it in terms of right hand lead or left hand lead, but just whatever you're playing, kind of this being more centered, thinking about, okay, I'm either going to play the snare with my left or my right. And there might be I've heard some voices speak to, oh, well, if you're right-handed, that should be your feel hand. And if you're, and then the other hand should be the backbeat. And in jazz, the right, whatever handedness you are, that's your feel hand. And that has some sense to it. I like the idea of that. But anytime, if you're going to switch and play a stroke on the snare, you should have kind of equal comfort with playing a rim shot or playing an accent or playing quiet with either hand. Because I think that's another reason a lot of drummers, a lot of us, kind of when we go for a fill, we rush or sound different, is because we're just not used to playing the snare with either hand comfortably. So having, right hand backbeat, the disco beat, this is something that I've seen some students struggle with, and they don't know why they struggle with it, and they start feeling like, oh, well, I must not be a good drummer, I can do this, but once I go to here, because they haven't really mapped out that right hand to snare, and so I might go this way to snare, I might go this way to snare, or this way I really like is kind of just playing from here to here. That's really comfortable, because it's kind of an awkward move on the drum, like right hand to snare. And then even if you're playing this way and you go to one of the most basic fills, doom, doom, ka, 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 doom, you're still coming from the hi-hat to the snare. And so this unison move is another way to kind of map out your dynamic and rhythmic dependence on movement. So if you're playing eighth notes on the hi-hat, okay, I'm going to play the left beat hand backbeat for a while. Now I'm going to play the right hand backbeat for a while, and get it to just feel the same in your body, feel the same sonically, so that you have that comfort level of being able to play snare with left or right. Because when you get to this next level, it gets really fun. The options you have of playing drums widens if you really have this comfort of being able to play right or left hand on the snare. So I'm going to go back to this kind of hands together idea. Then I'm going to add a double in the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And now we're in alternating sticking. I just added a little quick 16th note double in the left. And then in 4 counts, I'm going to add another double, and that brings us back to unison. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And now we're back to unison. And now do a double in the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, back to left. So then we're back to unison. And so what if we really have this kind of comfort level of hitting right or left on the snare, we can add these doubles inside of this kind of unison eighth note concept, and we can come over to the snare whenever we want. And it really gives us some opportunities to play things that we haven't played before and be more aware of our dynamics and timing. So still in unison and eighth notes. Okay, on my imaginary hi-hat here, going to be doing unison, and then I'll do a double on the left, and that'll bring us over to the kind of disco 16th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in 4 counts, we'll go back to unison. 1, 2, 3, 4, double in the left brings us back to unison, and now we'll do the double in the right, and we'll have to bring the left hand over to snare. And we're going to check ourselves on how we do with that, because that's a little trickier than it sounds. So the double will be in the right to bring us to alternating sticking with 16th notes, and the left hand will be on the snare. 1, 2, 3, 4, double. And then you have to kind of figure out how technically you're going to do that because the right hand is there, and that could present a problem depending on how you play, how to sneak that left hand in underneath or in back of the right, more towards you to hit that snare and make it comfortable. And then the thought might cross your mind, well, I can do this with right hand lead. Why would I want to do this left hand lead? And because that upbeat 16th note, when you get into movement exercises, that is a really interesting note because you can put that anywhere. That's one of my favorite things to practice, is just this kind of left hand lead 16th note, and be able to move the right hand around the drums, crash cymbals, toms, bella cymbal, cowbell, whatever you have, and play it with an ostinato bass drum, or match the right hand. And so that's this idea, like I'm kind of trying to get away from this constant right hand lead idea, because I've noticed that the most creative and fun and inspired things I'm able to do is when I dismiss what handedness is leading and just have access to any note being downbeat or upbeat with either hand. So any questions on this part so far? No? Oh, okay.
It's not a
All
question.
makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
not a
okay.
question, but I was just going to say, going back to the very beginning thing we were doing a few minutes ago, when we were doing the unisons on the pad and then one hand higher and then alternating, as soon as it gets to alternating, I'm so conditioned to make those be alternating flams.
Yeah.
Like the shifting accents up and down and keeping them unisons is so hard because it's such a minute mental shift, but it's so hard to do that, you know?
It's like, yeah, it's the same for me. It's literally like playing a flam, but I don't know, not playing a flam.
Yeah, and I hate that happens to us, and what that speaks to is how conditioned we are by our rudiments. How that and rudiments are informing our sound and our language rather than the other way around. And that's something I really want to spin around, kind of this idea of extrinsic versus intrinsic. Like, our extrinsic motivators are the things that we're required to do in the outside world, earn money, be socially acceptable. And I mean, the more kind of extrinsically focused we are, the more we lose what's intrinsic to us, what's really who we are, individuality, our authenticity. And so I feel like rudiments are this extrinsic thing that's conditioning us to play drums in a certain way. And so I really want to be able to spin that around by having a form of rudiment, a basic building block of drumming, being something that can cultivate something that's inside of us. And what's cool about this idea that I'm talking about is it can be informed by what we hear. Because once you get used to being able to lead with left or right, and you hear a rhythm, suddenly you're able to voice it any way you want. Like, I mean, with typical, flams, I mean, to be able to play this alternating accent, you have to play a flam because we're conditioned that way. And it's like, okay, well, if you kind of start a drummer with playing unison eighth notes, I feel like that person, no matter what music is in their head or however their body moves around the drum set, it's more of a way of cultivating what's inside to come out than kind of cramming these 100-year-old rudiments down the throat and making them sound like every drummer who's ever studied rudiments. And so I'm still kind of in the hashing it out stage, but I do know, like, man, when I practice this, really practice, okay, now I'm gonna try, for the sake of this exercise, I did the double to change the alternating, or unison to alternating. I did it on beat 1. But when you start doing it on beat 2 and 3 and 4, you end up having really interesting rhythms in the right hand. So an example of that would be like 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then like bringing the double back around. So then the right hand rhythm ends up being. And if you kind of change the backbeat in the left, you end up with kind of infinite variations of just off this basic concept. So, I mean, if you're like, okay, I'm going to start and resolve the double on different beats in the phrase, you wind up with the right hand kind of rhythmic patterns that'll change. And then the same thing with the left. If you're like, okay, I'm going to start the double in the left hand on the hi-hat, or maybe you do the like eighth notes in the right hand from ride to snare. and the kind of the flow is more consistent because you're not thinking in terms of, okay, I'm playing this rhythm in the right, I'm thinking of how it looks on the page, I'm practicing this rhythm. All you're doing is kind of moving from downbeats to upbeats and getting really interesting rhythms out of it that way. And then
I was just gonna say that idea of, symmetry or evenness, that's definitely what I'm spending a ton of time working on right now, because I'm just not. But the guy that I really like for that is Billy Cobham, because even like his drum kit, the way he sets it up is symmetrical. In his I read a thing where he talked about the idea of having a home base, and like his fill theory, if you will, is that like you have a home base, you go out somewhere and then you come back. And so like had something to do with his set is symmetrical, has something to do with that idea and looping, and I don't know, it's just super interesting. But then he said, if you have that as the base, anytime you want to go asymmetrical, you can. But if all you can do is asymmetrical, you can't do symmetrical. If you can do, and he was talking about like evenness in your playing, and basically what he's saying is if you can play even, you can play uneven intentionally, kind of like what Adam's saying. But if you're like me and all you can do is play uneven, you might stumble into even every once in a while by dumb luck, right? But you can't consistently produce even. And so like that's why for me a big thing I work on is like just really trying to get even. So like you say, I can do anything I need to. It's not dictated by my unevenness. Doesn't dictate what I can then play.
Yeah, and I just even noticed, like, I think you're going in and out of imagining yourself at the drums as you were just talking, and when your hands came up, your shoulders came up too. Like, just a tiny little bit. I noticed it was easy to see because your shirt's black against a white background. But I mean, even that thought of like, okay, now I'm imagining myself with drumsticks in my hands and my shoulders come up, and now my hands are relaxed and my shoulders come down. It's like we're conditioned to immediately kind of resort to this pattern tension. And so I've noticed in myself from a lot of video and a lot of looking in the mirror that when I'm shifting back and forth from different hands leading, my body reacts differently. And I was like, okay, well, there's definitely something there. Like, okay, if I'm playing this way, I notice my shoulders are square, and then if I add a double in the left, I'll notice it's harder to see because I'm not separate from my background, but I'll just notice like my posture, my body just looks different. And I think that's a huge factor in why when we go from one hand to the next, even as simple as just doubles, why we end up with that kind of asymmetry rather than being centered. And so this is a way to flush out how our body is positioned and how that relates to dynamic and rhythmic dependence and how they relate to each other. And so I've really noticed like focusing on this unison idea. And I guess I'm like Billy Cobham said, the home base. That's how I think of that, like home base. Like, okay, whenever I'm feeling uncomfortable or like maybe I'm not in the pocket or something's not quite right, I try to come back to this simple eighth note feel. And then I've kind of gone into how to add doubles to change up different rhythms in the hands. And then the paradiddle. Let's take the right hand rhythm in the paradiddle, or we'll play a paradiddle first.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, man. I hate to do this, but I got to split. I got to get I'm ready to go.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Actually, let's leave it at that. That's so much to mess around with, even on the pad. Just starting with unison and shifting around different kind of 16th note patterns. So, cool. That's it. That's my spiel.
Adam, talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, see you guys.
Take it easy, Dave. That was great, Adam. Thank
that
you
was
so much,
awesome, man. Thank you.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll check out Billy Cobham's take on home base. I like that.
Yeah.
But part of what I like about the 4-piece kit is that you wind up with so many more variations than having that mirrored image of rather than just that would be the opposite of what I'm after. I would I want to be able to play the same thing, shift it from a right hand stance to left, and have it have a rhythmic and musical variation. So, but
interesting. Yeah, check him out. He's I can't never. What was the name of his big band, Corey? I can never say it right. The Mahavishnu Orchestra, or whatever it was.
Mahavishnu, yeah.
Mahavishnu, Mahavishnu Orchestra. That was who I always associate him with.
Mm-hmm.
His records too, with like George Duke, and like there's a George Duke and Billy Cobham record from like the 70s. Amazing, great. It's live.
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, and then there's Spectrum. Is it?
Yep.
One of my favorite songs is great, man. I have all those on vinyl. I inherited them from my dad. I actually kind of
Nice.
when I was younger, I'd always make fun of him, like, this is stupid. And then I heard the drum solos, and I was like, wait a minute. All right, guys. So
Cool.
thank you so much. Thanks, Adam. That was really cool.
Oh man, yeah, thanks, man.
awesome.
Yeah, it's cool stuff you're doing. The variations with that pattern. I like kind of sticking with one idea for the week and working through it. That was really good. Thanks.
Cool. All right, guys. So we'll pick it up again on Monday. And thank you guys. And everyone streaming with us, thank you as well. Yay.
Yeah.
All right, you guys.
All right.
Have a good
See you guys.
weekend. See you all soon.
Bye.
Right.